Hello friends, we're here today in Revelation chapter 4. This is a simple chapter in the sense that it's just giving the setting of where the rest of the book is going to take place. This is the throne room of God. And there's different things in this room that seem a little strange, but they're all very significant. Now, what we have here in apocalyptic literature is something that is uniquely good at explaining spiritual realities. You know what's interesting is that if you try to explain something as simple and mundane as music, there's really no good way of doing that. You have to borrow from other forms of explanation. You know, if I was to explain the Beatles, I would say, you know, it kind of has like a grungy sound, but it's also kind of happy. They have this angelic ways that they harmonize, but yet there's still something that's kind of dark. It's like, what are you saying? It's dark, it's dirty, it's serene. Nothing about that is uniquely used to explain music. Music is this thing that is very difficult to explain. And I would go so far as to say that the spiritual life, not the spiritual life, but the spiritual reality that exists, that is real, is something that is much more difficult to explain than music. And so you have this apocalyptic literature, which sounds very strange, but John here is explaining to the best of his ability something that he's experiencing. Now, in the beginning of the chapter, it says that, you know, this door opened and and God said, come up here. Come up here. I'm gonna show you some things. I'm gonna show you what's going to happen after this. So what he's saying here is that this is a look into future realities as well as spiritual realities. So you might be asking, is this somewhere that John went physically, or was he just having a vision and he's in this room? There really is no good answer to that. And I don't even know if John would have an answer to that. A similar experience happened to Paul, and he mentioned it once in his letters. And he says, I was shown, you know, I was brought up into the third heaven. That is the same place, the throne room of God. And whether I was in the body or outside of the body, I do not know. So I think John is having a similar experience. Ezekiel had a similar experience, and so did Isaiah. So we have multiple accounts of people experiencing something very similar. But it happens to John, and God tells him to write it down. So what do we see in the throne room? He goes up there and he sees the man, not the man, but he sees God sitting on his throne. And he doesn't really describe him, except for he describes different elements like jasper, which was either, you know, back in that day, it was something shiny and white. So it was probably what we might call an opal or a diamond. You know, back then diamonds weren't clear like they are now. You know, you would have seen it as something white and sparkly. But he's saying that's what he looks like. He's bright and he's shiny, and he's got a rainbow around him that looks like emerald. What I think to me is the most significant is the thunder and lightning. Around God you have thunder and lightning. Now that is used to describe his greatness. I don't know if you've ever been in a thunderstorm and just heard the crashing and the low boom and the I think the only word I can use to describe it would be awesome. Just the awesome power of thunder and lightning brightening up the whole sky. And he's saying that's just like an offhanded comment of something that's just around him constantly. That is how awesome God is. Another thing that is significant is that there was a sea around him. Now, it was explained to me that a sea back then was a symbol of death. A sea is something very scary. And what the sea around God is to show the separation between us and God. And the people around him and the angelic beings are constantly calling him holy. They're going, holy, holy, holy. Now, the word holy is another interesting word. There's really no other word like it, because it is essentially a word used just to show that something is kind of godly. You know, it could show that something is clean, but it could also show that it's moral. It could also show that it's great. You know, it's also showing that it's set apart. But none of these things together, or none of these things individually, can explain the word holy. And yet God is not just holy, he is holy, holy, holy. So we have two other elements. One is that it has these living creatures. You know, there's a lion, one that looks like a lion, one that looks like a man, one that looks like an ox, and one that looks like an eagle. And these are meant to symbolize different attributes of God. And it says that they have eyes all over them. It should be said that Ezekiel saw, you know, and Isaiah saw seraphim and cherubim. And these are angelic creatures like that, things that we don't know much about, but we know that they are constantly around God saying, holy, holy, holy. And the last element is the elders. It's showing these elders with crowns before God, and they set their crowns before him and they say, worthy are you. Now these 24 elders that are around in a circle, I've heard some disagreements about what they are, but not about what they represent. Pretty much everybody agrees that they are representatives of all of the people saved by God. All of the people that are going to be in heaven, they are representatives of them. Some people believe that they are men that are representatives, and some people think that they are angels that represent the men. I say men, meaning mankind. So these are the representatives to God that symbolize all of mankind that is saved. And they all put their crowns down and they say, you know, you are the creator. They say, because of you, all of us are here. So that is the description of the throne room. In the next chapter, it will be a view of God's redemption. So anyways, that is Revelation chapter 4. Have a great day. Bye.